Hello everyone, welcome to our Hangout on Air featuring Google Drive, Store Everything, Share Anything. My name is Cristina Mondini and I am a member of our enterprise team here at Google. I'm thrilled to be joined today by two of our product managers for Google Drive, David and Josh. Just like always, if you have any questions, make sure and put them in the comment section of this post and we'll make sure and carve out time to answer those. And with that, go ahead and kick it off, David.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is David. Myself and Josh are based in Boulder, Colorado, and we're product managers on Google Drive. And we are very excited to give you a tour of the product and take all of your questions. So before we get started, I want to give a quick recap of what Google Drive is, because it's lots of things, and sometimes it's not exactly clear the whole scope of the offering. So Google Drive consists of 5 key parts. There's the web interface, which is what you see when you visit drive.google.com. And the web interface is kind of the core of the offering. It's where you go to manage your files, view your files, install Drive applications, organize, and share. But there's 4 other parts of Google Drive as well. There's Google Drive for Mac and Windows, which is an installable application that basically connects your local computer to your Google Drive on the web. And we're going to demo that during this call. There is the mobile clients, which for iOS, Android, so either on your tablet or your phone, you can access your files while on the go from anywhere. So let's say you have a laptop at home and you have a tablet at work. You can basically access the same corpus of files regardless of where you are. There's an SDK for developers. Drive is actually a platform, and we put a lot of effort into making it so that third parties can extend the functionality of Drive. And there's dozens of really great apps. For example, HelloFax allows you to fax anything from your Google Drive, and there's dozens of other use cases like that. And finally, there's the storage piece. So every user on Google Drive gets 5 gigabytes to start for free, but they can expand their Google Drive by purchasing storage all the way up to 16 terabytes. So there's 5 components, and we're going to demonstrate a bunch of them today on this call. So first, to get us started, we're going to talk about the web interface, and Josh is going to give us a quick run-through of what drive.google.com looks like.
Sure. Thanks, David. So as you can see on your screen, this is the web interface for Drive. This is drive.google.com, and this is your central place to be able to access all of your stuff from anywhere. So this is the one place where you can see all the different things that are going to be synced across all your different devices and manage them. So if you start over here on the left, you see My Drive. Now this is your personal space. This is the place where things you create go, new documents you create, things you add from your personal computer using Drive for Mac and Windows, like David's going to show you in just a minute. This is something that only you can control. So all the directories, all the folders, all the files you create, all these things will show up here. Things that people share with you, and I'll talk a little bit more about how sharing works in just a minute, will show up here. So when somebody shares something with me, for instance, somebody has shared with me this project folder. I can click on it, and now we can work together on all these different files. So if you have teammates that you want to work together on maybe a set of files for a project, they can just share that folder with you, and then you can all work together on that folder. So that's where things that are shared with you go. We also give you a couple different ways to get at your data. You can see things that are starred, so if you have documents that are important to you, you can star them and see them here. And things that you've recently edited. So these are all the different things that I've done recently. There's also a couple neat features that I want to show you that really aren't immediately obvious that I think are worth pointing out. The first one is, like, imagine that you travel a lot and you have a lot of receipts. And maybe you only take pictures of them and then you just want to upload them into your Drive, but in Jesse Williams' case, our demo account, she doesn't want to, like, rename them or organize them or anything. But when you upload images into Drive, we do a lot of neat things. And one of the things we do is we recognize all the text that's in that image, so I can just search for that text. So I have a receipt in here from a hotel that we'll say for the purposes of demo that Jesse stayed at, but it's not renamed or anything, so I can just search for the name of the hotel, which was Hotel Zico. And even though the image doesn't have that in the name, it pulls it up, so I can find all the receipts just by searching for something that was in the receipt that way, which is an incredibly useful feature. Another neat thing we do with images is we run it through the Google Goggles backend. Now, Google Goggles is part of Google's image search technology. And one of the things it can do is it can recognize famous landmarks, logos, objects, even in some cases famous faces right in photos. So I've uploaded a lot of photos of the Grand Canyon from a recent vacation, and they're not named Grand Canyon, or there's no other identifying metadata associated with it. But when I search for Grand Canyon, these images are going to show up just because they have images of the Grand Canyon in the image, which is really cool. So we can identify these famous landmarks and places as well. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to David, who's going to show you some of Drive for Mac and Windows.
Cool, thanks, Josh. So I'm not sure if you noticed, there's a download Google Drive link in the navigation of drive.google.com. And so I'm going to click this, and it's going to take me to the download page for Google Drive for Mac because it recognizes I'm on a Mac computer. I'm going to agree and download, and just as you'd expect, it basically kicks off the download process, and I'm going to demonstrate this in real time, the installation process. So we're done with our download. Going to open it up. And this is just the typical installation procedure on Mac. We're going to drag into our applications folder. It's copying over. This is installing Google Drive. Okay, now that it's in our applications folder, I'm going to launch it. And of course, it's okay. All right. It's asking for local machine permissions, and then basically it's going to ask me to sign in. Now, if I don't have an account, I can press the sign up button, and it'll launch an embedded sign up flow. I'm going to use a test account that we have created for this demo. Hopefully I can remember the credentials. Press sign in. Okay, and so if you notice, we have a Google Drive icon that has installed itself on the tasks tray up here. And right now it's gray because we're not yet activated. So there's just two steps to the installation process. The first is basically just telling you how it works. A local Google Drive folder will be created on your computer. So there will literally just be a Google Drive folder on your computer that functions just like any other folder on your computer, except it has one special property. Anything you put into that folder will be synced across all of your devices and to drive.google.com. So it's kind of like a complete replica of all the things that you store in that folder. So when we click Next, it's basically indicating to me that files are actually going to come down. So Google Drive recognizes that I already have some things in the cloud on drive.google.com, and all of the stuff, including the Google Docs files, are actually going to display on my computer. So I press Start Sync, and it opens the Google Drive folder by default. You'll notice that Google Drive is active, and things start populating. These are all the things that we just saw in Josh's review of the web interface. And all of this stuff is accessible now on this device, including the GDocs. So if I wanted to add more files to my Google Drive, I could actually just take a regular file, let's say this file of a cute puppy here on my desktop, and I can add it to this folder just like I would a regular folder. And I'm not sure if you can see this, it's a little small, but there's a little syncing icon here, which indicates that when the Google Drive is ready, it will, and the rest of this stuff is uploaded or downloaded, it will start uploading my cute puppy photo to drive.google.com. There are a couple things I wanted to point out in the settings. So here we are in the menu. It says we're syncing 84 of 171, and it's continuing to increase. So it's going pretty quickly through that initial set of syncing items. I can pause the client. I can open Google Drive folder if I want to navigate quickly to it. But the Google Drive folder is actually going to be installed as a shortcut, and it does this for Windows as well in Explorer, so you can easily save files to. So let's say you're in a Microsoft Word file, and you want that file to be saved in your Google Drive because you want to back it up, or perhaps you want to share it with a coworker. You can just use the regular file save as, quickly navigate to the Google Drive folder, which is installed as a shortcut on your computer, and then all you need to do is save, and it'll just propagate up to the web. Any changes you make to that file will automatically propagate to the web. It's all automatic. You don't need to tell Google Drive to sync. It's always listening to see what changes on your computer. You can visit Google Drive on the web, so doing that, I'll just do that really quick. It opens up your default browser, and it shows you your web interface. You can view items shared with me, which will open the sharing dialog. You can buy more storage, and let's open up preferences. So the one thing I want to point out in preferences is the selective sync option. So right now, by default, everything syncs from your Google Drive to this computer, and it's probably done by now. Just cancel and see. Yeah, so sync is complete, which basically means everything from the web has been brought down to this computer. And in fact, my cute puppy picture has a green check mark next to it, which indicates that it's actually successfully on the web now. But what I wanted to show you was if you go into Preferences from the Google Drive menu, you can actually change that. Let's say that on this computer that I'm on right now, I only want the Hawaii vacation photos. Because if this is a personal computer and perhaps it doesn't have space for all the rest of the stuff I have in my Google Drive. So I select the option, only sync some folders to this computer. I select the files and folders that I'd like, and I press Apply Changes. And what that would do is basically it would remove all of the other content from my Google Drive except for that one folder. So if you have a computer that doesn't have a large hard drive, or you just simply don't want to download the gigs of stuff in these large project files that you might have in the work setting, you can easily just use Selective Sync to only download a subset of things. Of course, all of your content is always available at drive.google.com, but your local devices can have settings that selectively choose what you download to each device. So I just wanted to point out that functionality. So we mentioned in the very beginning that we also have mobile offerings. Mobile offerings are very important to the Drive offering because part of the value of Drive is that you can access your files from anywhere. And you typically have a cell phone or a tablet on you. And so basically, we're going to run through quickly what that looks like. So we have, oops. All right, one sec. Just going to hook my screen up to display our Android device we have here. Hopefully, okay, so this is gonna, okay. So here's our Jesse Williams test account. And what we're looking at is the Drive mobile interface, and you can see basically it's very similar to the web interface. It has My Drive, which is what's selected. It has the people icon, which is the shared with me. And so selecting that, you can see we have all the stuff that you saw. And we could go into Project X and open up a PDF just like you would on the web. And it opens with the native viewers that are built into Android already. It has the starred. You can see quickly what you've starred. It has recent. And then it has pinned, which is basically all of the files that you've made available offline. Because by default, Google Drive for mobile doesn't actually sync all of the content because that would eat up all of your bandwidth, potentially cost you lots of money and slow your connection down. And so you actually have to designate which files are offline available. You can do that by pressing this arrow next to any of your files and selecting that available offline pin icon. So that is the mobile interface in a nutshell. Basically, it's a way to access, modify, share all of your stuff while you're on the go, and it's very similar to the web interface. So that's all the walkthrough we had, and so I think at this point we probably should open it up to questions and have a conversation about Google Drive.
Sure. So we actually have quite a few questions.
All right.
This one here. What if my clients don't use Google Apps? Can I share files via Drive with them?
So you can share a file with any email address, and they'll get a sharing notification just like a Google Apps user would. When it depends on the permissions of the file. If they have the permission set so that anyone on the web can view, then the user will be able to view it without any account. If they have to log in to edit it, or they have edit privileges, they're going to have to log in with a Gmail address or an apps account, but both of them will work to access the file. I believe we warn you if you try to share things outside of your domain for security reasons, but we certainly allow it.
Okay. Next question. How can I view files offline, both on mobile and on my computer?
So the mobile app, like we just displayed, there's the offline pinning of that functionality. So basically, if you're offline, if you don't have web access, and you go to this pin icon, it's going to filter your Google Drive to only the things that are available offline. So even if we didn't have internet connectivity, this Excel file would be available to view offline. The sync client is a slightly different answer. Basically, so we have this local Google Drive folder which has all of your stuff. And there's, for the most part, there's two types of things in the Google Drive folder. There's the regular files, like the JPEGs and the PDFs and the MP3s. Everything that is just a regular file is going to be available offline for you because it's actually the real file sitting in your Google Drive. The GDocs, the Google document formats, for example, the spreadsheets, they have their own MIME types, so you can see .gsheet, .gslides. These actually are references to web resources. And so let's click one of these, I'll show you. Our browser opens up and it actually opens regular Google Tricks or Google Spreadsheets. We, as many of you know, have offline functionality baked into Chrome, so you can actually enable offline caching if you're using the Chrome web browser, so that all of your recently accessed Google Spreadsheets, Google Documents are going to be available while you're offline. And so if you use Chrome and you are opted into that feature, then in essence, all of the things in your Google Drive folder should be available to you offline. Your PDFs and your JPEGs are going to be available because they're actually the file sitting in your Google Drive, and your Google Documents are going to be cached in your browser, so you can access it and make edits that when you connect back to the internet will propagate to the cloud.
Neat. Third question, how can Google Drive work as a file share?
You can share files using Google Drive. The best way to do it, I think, is to create a folder with all the resources that you want to share, and then just share it to the people you want to be able to access that resource. So then it becomes sort of a common place where everybody can go and access the things that they want to be common to that group, or sort of shared or file share for that group. So you would just create that folder structure and then just share it to whatever your team is, and it's going to show up in the shared with me for each team, and so everybody can access it in a sort of a common way.
And we didn't display this, but when you have a file or folder shared with you and it displays in your shared with me view on the web, you can actually add that file to your Google Drive. You can add it to your My Drive, and therefore you can sync it. When you add something to your My Drive, it syncs by default unless you're using selective sync settings. But so if Josh shares a folder with me and it shows up in My Drive, and then I add it to it shows up and shared with me, and I add it to My Drive, and I'm using the sync client on my computer, I'll actually be able to see that folder as a subfolder to my Google Drive. I can put cute puppy pictures in or work project stuff, and if Josh is a sync client user as well, we can basically be bouncing files back and forth as if they were just regular files on our computer.
So here's a shared folder that's shared with these two people, and if I wanted to add another person, I could just put their email address here. And then it would share it to that person, and then they would see it in their shared with me, and we could all use it together.
And if you note that we're in the shared with me view right now, and we have Project X selected, when you do that, there's actually a button that says Add to My Drive right here. You guys see that? Basically, that would be what you click if you want to sync this file. If you want it to be in your corpus, your drive, My Drive is the place that you curate. It's all the stuff you care about. Not necessarily all the things that are shared with you are things that you have interest in or want to remember for later, but you can easily add Project X to your My Drive, and if you're using the sync client with the proper settings, that'll actually sync right to your computer.
Neat. I didn't know that. Cool. Oh, it got dark in here. It is Halloween. Yeah. So how does storage management work for the Google Apps domain? User managed versus admin managed storage?
Sure. So there's two ways for users on Drive to get storage. The first is that they can buy it directly. So the user can go to google.com/settings/storage, and I can actually just demonstrate this. google.com/settings/storage. They can access this page from the Google Drive menu by going to Get More Storage. Right now we see that Jesse Williams is on the free plan. That means they have 5 gigabytes of drive, and they're using 7% of it. But Jesse Williams can actually choose to upgrade to the 25 or the 100 gigabyte plan. Now, administrators of Jesse Williams' domain could actually prevent her from upgrading to anything but the free plan. Right now, her settings are such that she's still allowed to do so, so she can. The second way to get Google Drive storage is the admin can buy Google Business Storage via the cPanel. And I don't think I'll be able to demonstrate that right now, but within cPanel, if you go to, I think it's Apps and Users, or Organization and Users, you can basically procure seats of the same storage tiers and assign them to each user in your domain, manage the storage that you're paying for on a monthly basis, and that will basically increase Jesse Williams' plan as well. If both happen, then they'll pancake. They'll stack together. So Jesse Williams might have 25 gigabytes of personally purchased storage that she's using corporate credit card for, but you also might have given her 100 gigabytes, and so she'll have the 100 plus the 25 plus the 5 free. So it'll just completely stack up. Hope that answers the question.
Next question is from Thomas. How do you view previous versions of a document?
So if you go to the best we can do at the moment, there's a Manage Revisions dialog. So if you right-click on something, you can click View Revisions, and you can see all the different revisions of the document. And so you can see who uploaded it and when and what the changes were. One of the things we'll probably do down the road is give you more control over past revisions and things you can do with them, restoring the previous revisions, viewing previous revisions, and things like that. But this is the interface we give you into managing prior revisions now. You can also get to the same thing if I opened one of these documents in the viewer. We have the same View Revisions dialog there.
All right. Next question. When I load an Office document and return it to Drive, I find that it's converted to Docs. Can I still retain Office format, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. And in the past, we even gave you more conversions options on upload, but I think now we're trying to encourage people just to upload the files as is, and then you can convert them if you want into Google formats once you get them into Drive. But yeah, absolutely. We give you lots of things you can do with just Word docs in the interface. We provide previews of them. You can comment on them. You can share them to other people. And David kind of touched on this earlier, but we do also have a third-party app ecosystem that you can install on the Drive. And so there are quite a few apps that can even edit Word doc files right in the cloud. So you could even install one of those and then edit your Word documents right from Google Drive, and it'll save it back for you.
One of the things we actually didn't demo is the fact that you can drag a file from your desktop or your local computer into the browser directly, and it'll upload. It'll kick off the upload mole. And so I just uploaded 2 cute puppies. You could do the same thing with a Word doc. And just to reiterate, in previous revisions of Google Drive and Google Docs, doing that with a Word doc would by default convert it to a Google document format. We've since changed that. So now it actually retains, by default, it retains the fact that it's a Microsoft Word document.
It uploads it as a pure Word document.
Yeah. So the functionality has actually changed in the recent past, and that basically is probably how you intended it to begin with. So now all this stuff will be retained in its original format. You, of course, can switch to, so if you have a a Word doc, you can convert it manually. You can right-click and go convert to or export as a Google document, but you don't need to do that.
How about this one? How do you install third-party apps?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I have installed one third-party app already, which is this Balsamiq wireframe editor. So if you want to get more, you go to a couple different places. You can go to Create More, and there's a Get More Apps link here. And there's also a way to manage all the apps that you've already installed. If you go to the Gear menu, there's a Manage Apps dialog here. So you can see that I've installed Balsamiq mockups as well here. So if you want to install new ones, we have a Chrome Web Store collection of all Drive apps. And you can get there by clicking Get More Apps here. You can also get there through the Chrome Web Store Drive collection. You can see that here in the left nav. And these are all the apps we have that are integrated with Google Drive. And so there's quite a few. You can do everything from edit images to create diagrams with Lucidchart. You can edit your videos in Drive. You can do a lot of different things. So suppose I wanted to install Let's find one and install it here. Let's say I want to install Pixel Express. So I just click Add. And that's going to add it to both Chrome and to Drive. So when I go back to Drive, I should get a dialog saying that Pixel Express was added to Drive. So now I can use that to edit images. So I'm going to go find an image by using the filter drop down here. And the Two Cute Puppies image that David uploaded earlier, I can now open it with Pixel Express. I also have Pixel Editor installed, so I'll open it with that because I think that's a pretty cool app as well. And what this is going to do is it's going to open the image directly in Pixel's image editor. So now I can edit this image and save it back to Drive, all without having to download the image or do anything with it. So these puppies are cute, but I think I'm going to erase some of them. So that's a shame. That's a real shame. So now to save it back, all I have to do is hit save, and that's going to save it directly back to my Drive. So that's how you install one, and then that's how you can use it to edit things in your Drive. You open that back up, you can see now back in Drive that I have defaced one of David's cute puppies. Yeah, so that's third-party apps. You can do a lot of really cool things with them. So if you do upload your Word docs, one of the apps that is in that collection is called Install Free Nexus, and you can edit your Word docs directly in the cloud right from Drive, and then save it back to Drive all without having to have Word installed. It's pretty neat.
Wow, that is really neat. So if you're using a Chromebook or whatever device, you can just...
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to have the native software installed.
Great. I'm actually on a Chromebook right now. Can you share with us, Crispy is asking if you can share with us a little bit about the roadmap for Google Drive. Are there plans to add any more sharing granularity, for example?
We have a lot of plans around that. I don't want to get too far into specifics, but we are doing a lot of thinking right now about how sharing works, especially within groups and with teams. So you can expect some things coming from us there. We're also doing a lot of work and a lot of thinking about how to make Drive more tightly integrated across all of Google and make it work better with all of Google's other products. So expect to see some really cool things coming in that space as well.
From the Sync client, one feature that I think enterprise users, apps users will be particularly interested in is simultaneous accounts. So if you have an apps account as well as a personal Gmail account, you'll be able to be logged into both of them and syncing both of them at the same time, and easily passing files back and forth between the two accounts. It's something we've heard a lot from apps users because they all have apps accounts, but they want to access Google Drive from their personal as well. So that's something we're going to be working on in the first half of next year.
Nice. Well, great. Thank you so much, David and Josh, for joining us. This was really great for me, so I hope it was also really great for our users that are watching us live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you have any additional questions, just input them in the comment section of this post. And in our recap post, which will come in the next couple of days, we'll include the video recording to this online broadcast, and we'll answer any additional questions you put on there. So with that, I bid you adieu. Thank you.
Thanks guys. See ya.